Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome back. Today we'll continue where we left off in the book of Ibn Al-Qayyim, The Illness and the Cure. And so far what we've spoken about is that every illness has its cure, including the illnesses of the heart. And we spoke about those general and encompassing cures. That we spoke about the Quran as a cure, and we spoke about dua as a cure. And last time we left off, we mentioned this question that what is the relationship between dua and qadar? And so, the previous episode we spoke about what is qadar, so that we were able to better address this question. And so today's episode is really tightly linked to the past two. So if you haven't already, please do check out episodes 3 and 4. Otherwise, you might not fully understand what's going on in the current episode. But I will give a summary that in the third episode, we spoke about dua as a cure and how powerful dua is. And how that unless you are insisting on some kind of sin and unless you're asking for harm in your dua, otherwise dua is answered absolutely and entirely every single time. Dua is answered. And how much dua is recommended, and how much that dua is a necessary thing for a believer. That asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, requesting from Allah, begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making supplication towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is dua. It is necessary for the servant. It is a form of worship. And like I said, every time, وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمُ ادْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ, and your Lord has said, call to me and I will answer you. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. And if my servant asks you about me, then I am near. I answer the call of the caller whenever he calls. Subhanallah. And it goes so far that, as is mentioned in the hadith, that مَنْ لَا يَسْأَلِ اللَّهَ يَغْضَبْ عَلَيْهِ, that whoever refuses to call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will be angry with him. Subhanallah. And so this is the beauty of dua. And like I'd mentioned, dua is answered every single time. And we spoke in the third episode about what are the forms in which dua is answered. Either you'll get exactly what you asked for, or that it will protect you from a calamity that would have befallen you otherwise, or that it will be stored, the reward of that dua will be stored for you, and you will find it on the Day of Judgment. SubhanAllah. And in the previous episode, we spoke about qadar, and we explained that qadar is the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that we're not puppets on a string, that qadar is tightly tied to the fact that Allah knows everything. Yeah, you can't surprise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that even if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything, that doesn't mean we are free of responsibility. We're not forced to do what we do. Allah knows everything in detail what is going to happen, but that doesn't mean that, okay, even if He knows it subhanahu wa ta'ala, that doesn't change the fact that we are responsible for every one of those actions that we do. And we also spoke about this beauty of the matter of qadar. As well, there's this concept of that everything is going according to plan, that everything, you rest assured because everything is going according to plan, according to the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah? So please do check out the past two episodes. Especially just the previous episode. If you've seen it, you'll probably already know the answer to this question. That what is the relationship between dua and qadar? Ibn Al-Qayyim mentions in his book that there's a common question which arises that, okay, if everything is already written in the qadar, therefore there's no point of making dua because it won't change anything. That even if I make a dua that, for example, I make a dua that, Ya Allah, help me pass this exam tomorrow, that it won't make any difference because whatever is written in the qadar is already written, so my dua doesn't make any difference. And Ibn Al-Qayyim then continues to mention various other fun solutions to this question of dua and qadar, which various people have come up with, and then he goes heavy on them and explains how nonsensical all of their approaches are, and then he highlights what is the truth based on the Quran and the Sunnah, that without a doubt, dua absolutely has its power and its effect. And to say that dua is useless is the exact same as saying drinking water is useless and eating food is useless. Because you drink water because you want your thirst to be quenched, and you eat food so that your hunger is satiated. So it's a direct cause and effect relationship. Making dua is a cause, just like drinking water is a cause, to seek an effect. And if you're going to say otherwise, if you're going to say that dua has no effect, then you're ultimately saying no cause has an effect. You're effectively saying that, okay, there's no point to drink water because, hey, if it was the qadar that my thirst is going to be quenched, then it's going to be quenched anyways, regardless of whether I drink water or not. Or that regardless of whether I eat food or not, hey, if I'm going to be full in the tummy, if I'm going to be satiated, it's going to happen anyways, regardless of whether I eat food or not. And the same goes for getting a job and having a salary, and getting married and having children, 𝗿𝗲𝘃𝗆𝗆, and it goes on and on. And so you see how incoherent it all is if you think like that. Rather, the case is that dua having an effect is the exact same as drinking water has an effect. Yes? Subhanallah. And so it doesn't matter that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already knows that your thirst will be quenched. That is in the Qadar. It also is within the Qadar of Allah, within His knowledge, that you will drink water. Yeah? So both the cause and the effect are within the Qadar. Just like both the cause of dua and the effect of the result of the dua are within the Qadar. Subhanallah. That really, just take that to heart and feel in your heart and in your mind, therefore, and understand how powerful dua is really. It is akin and equal to as reliable as drinking water is. Subhanallah, subhanallah. But we've already spoken about what it looks like that dua is answered. Please do revise the third episode. So if the question comes that, but what's the point that I make dua if it's already written in the Qadar? The answer is that it has an effect. And that effect is also in the Qadar. Yes? And just one more thing to really appreciate the beauty of dua, that it fits into a category that nothing else fits into. That just like drinking water is the only thing that will repel thirst, and this is its specialization, that nothing else can repel thirst. Therefore, as is mentioned in the hadith, حسنه الألباني, that لا يرد القضاء إلا الدعاء, that nothing pushes away qada except for dua. And you can understand qada for simplicity's sake as calamities, yeah? That's something that's going to befall you. That nothing can protect you from what's about to befall you and calamities except for dua. There's nothing else that can help in that. And I spoke about it in the past, that you can think of dua like a shield, and calamities and things that are to befall you, they are like arrows, and dua is like a shield which repels them. Just like thirst is repelled by drinking water, calamities and things that befall you are equally repelled by dua. Subhanallah. That is the power and the beauty of dua. And like I said, as a take-home message, it doesn't change the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already knows everything that is going to happen. It doesn't change the effect that cause and effect still apply. And yes, Allah knows the end results. And yes, Allah knows that you're going to make dua, and that dua was going to have its effect, yeah, on pushing away a calamity. And He knows that it was going to be repelled by your dua, just like He knows that your thirst was going to be repelled by drinking water. I hope that that is clear, and it's here we'll wrap up, and we'll continue next time, inshaAllah, in which Ibn Al-Qayyim starts to speak about sins and forgiveness. And he is effectively, what he is doing is explaining the illnesses and the cures, and as well, what is the relationship between these illnesses and between these cures, and understanding the cures properly. Subhanallah. And here's where we'll wrap up. Do like, share and subscribe to share the benefit. I wish you all the best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.